Angela Allen had plans. She was a mother of two, a department store buyer with an eye for fashion, and a woman on the brink of making a life-changing decision. She was also married to a man everyone called Mad Dog. On the day after Christmas in 1979, Angela spoke to her mother for the last time. She said she was tired, that she'd call back later. She never did. And for years, almost no one outside her family seemed to care that she was gone until another woman was murdered and a 6-year-old boy went missing. This is her story.
Hi, I'm Vanessa.
And I'm Amy.
And you're listening to She Goes by Jane. At the end of this episode and every episode, we will be joined by a special guest who will read an original poem by Amy Baker about the women we're featuring. This week we are joined by Chioma Umeala.
Hi, Vanessa.
Hi, Amy.
Vanessa, you know who I don't think gets enough hate?
Enough hate?
Yeah.
Like somebody should get more hate?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. But who?
Henry VIII.
I was not expecting that. Wait, where are you going here?
I don't know. Like, why do we not call him a serial killer?
I don't know.
Yeah,
Do you want to?
I would like to.
Do you want to just be like, Henry VIII, serial killer?
Yes. Like, why is that not the headline every time he's brought up? It's like, oh, he killed all his wives. But
But he's not a serial killer. But isn't a serial killer like 3?
Yeah. So
3 similar
he
crimes?
meets the definition of a serial killer. And I think we should just call him out.
Okay. So from now on, Henry VIII, the serial killer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But anyway.
Also, where are you going with this?
Okay. So I sometimes, when I am doing research for our episodes, get some feelings. I get some feelings. Sometimes. All the time.
Just once in a while?
Okay.
Occasionally, Amy gets feelings.
Emotionally
Amy
stunted.
always has feelings.
Elder millennial. Yes, I always have feelings, but like, I should say. So I sometimes, against my better judgment, post on Facebook because, again, elder millennial, so that's where I'm posting some stuff.
What's my excuse as a baby Gen X?
I don't know.
Why am I emotional? Neglect,
yeah. Okay, so I was thinking about this episode, which to be clear includes intimate partner violence, right? And so I posted on social media.
So I'm just going to stop you right there for a minute. You're talking about emotions and you're talking about social media.
Yeah.
You posted on social media and you got your feelings hurt, didn't you?
Okay, my feelings...
Did you? Because if you want to get your feelings hurt purposefully, the best way to do that is to post on social media.
Right.
You will get your feelings hurt.
That's why I said against my better judgment. Okay.
Okay.
I was feeling some sort of way about this episode, and I said, essentially, men keep killing women they claim to love, and that's something that we need to address. And then I talked a little bit about this episode. And then what happened was, I mean, I do know that is a bit inflammatory, but true.
Well, because you said men, you didn't say some men.
I did not.
On the internet,
yes,
you need to always be like cushiony. And the cushiony would be some certain men, not the majority, not all of you, but some of you.
Anyway, so then I should probably say right now, I have a migraine. I had a migraine when I posted this. And so I posted it and then essentially collapsed.
Okay. So you did not monitor what was happening.
I did not monitor what was happening. And so somehow this began to snowball in my absence.
Oh, no.
Right.
Okay.
And so, so it had... some people are saying essentially yes, men are not okay. And then that turned into some people bringing up examples of men in their lives who are great, which then turned into someone messaging me, who I really respect her, but she said that I deleted the message, which I hadn't done, or deleted the post, and that she thought that I should be defending my husband more, which...
Whoa. Okay, that's not what I was expecting. When you started this, I was like, Okay, you pissed a man off.
No.
You pissed a woman off
Yeah.
who's saying that you need to defend your husband. You're obviously with your husband because he's a good guy.
Right.
And when you're saying men, you're using just the vague term men. It does not mean every
Generally.
single man. We know you love your husband. We know you love your dad.
Yeah.
We know that there are good men out there.
Yeah. So they don't need defense. Like,
Right.
you know, like anyone who knows me or my husband know that like his greatest flaws in life are that he doesn't let me wallpaper every room of the house or adopt 10 more dogs. Like,
He's also like kind of anti-swan in furnishing.
he is anti-swan furnishing. I have asked for a swan bed twice.
Yeah, was there like a swan gravy boat or something?
Yes. Oh, I got the gravy boat.
Oh, you did? Oh, so okay. So he's
Yeah.
actually really good.
So
I mean, the bed was a lot. Like, so
it was a little much. But okay,
Yeah,
so those are
okay.
his greatest flaws.
Right.
Otherwise, I would duplicate that man if possible, right? Like,
You
if
want two husbands?
2 of him would be like perfect. If something ever happens to him or he gets tired of me asking for wallpapering,
And swan beds.
swan beds, whatever it is, like, I don't think that I would ever date again. Like, no way.
Yeah.
But, like, I think that we can talk about this. Like, we don't have to qualify this all the time to be like, we know great men. Like, of course we know great men.
Right.
Right. That's not the issue here.
Right.
The issue is men are killing women they say they love, right? Like,
Right.
we are talking about intimate partner violence and the rates are really high. And it's just like, we need to be able to have a conversation about that without having to like address every single guy that we think is like, okay.
Right. You don't need a paragraph of like fine print after you talk about
Right,
some
like-
guy who's not okay.
Where you're like, obviously I don't mean
Yeah. And a
these
list of
people.
Yes,
Right.
exactly.
Yeah. And so, like, I was thinking about this because in the end, what ended up happening in this post is it like we are now so far from actually talking about the 2 women who are involved in this story that we're going to be talking about today. One of which is Angela Allen, who is missing, right? And so the conversation, like, then becomes like me having to like defend my husband's goodness rather than like talking about like Angela Allen is missing,
Right.
right? And getting into that.
It's using something to overshadow something else, right? Like
Right.
we're gonna stop talking about the actual problem here because you should be defending somebody who doesn't need to be defended.
Right. Yes. So like, yes, men have a problem. And I mean that holistically. As a whole, men have a problem, right?
Right.
That we need to address.
And it's not a problem that is a secret.
No.
It's everybody knows it. And that majority of men who are actually good even know it.
Right.
So, I mean,
And like, so like
everybody's aware of it.
Yeah. And one of the great things about like my husband is like, I have these conversations about it with him and he doesn't feel the need to address or like defend other men. Like he's just like legit like, yeah, men are terrible, right? Like, yeah.
As it should be. I mean, I have household conversations like that all the time, and there are 2, sometimes 3 men in my house at a time, and all of them right away are just like, yeah, the dude's at fault.
The dudes have problems.
The
right?
dude has a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's and nobody's sugarcoating it.
Yeah.
Even the men in my life are like, yep,
Yes.
it was the man.
So anyway.
No, I did not expect it to be a woman going after you.
Well, you know, and I really
I'm glad it wasn't a man.
I'm true.
But
I really respect her.
No, I know.
I get
I know,
where she's coming from.
But sometimes like misguided, like people going in with their like misguided little things. She might have thought she was doing a good thing, being like, oh, but focus on the good men, like your husband. But really, like that's not the point here.
No. So with that, like talking about Angela Allen specifically, like Angela could get lost in all of this, right? Which is the conversation I was trying to have, is like my feelings particularly about Angela and also another woman we're going to talk about today named Lorraine. Now, Angela, when she went missing, her story should have been front page news on the day she went missing. But the truth is, women, especially Black women, can disappear under these like really violent and suspicious circumstances and still just be completely ignored. And we've talked about that a lot.
We have.
But what we don't talk about nearly enough is that, like, yes, like more than half of women who are murdered are killed by someone they know intimately. Like,
Right. Oh, right. Like, you're not going to just, like, everybody's so focused on strangers. No,
yes.
I'm not scared of strangers. Well, I'm not scared of my husband either or anyone in my house. But, like, if you're going to be,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's who would get you, not.
Exactly. And so, like, a lot of what we talk about in terms of awareness and protecting yourself is protecting yourself from strangers, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's all the stranger danger when really, like, we should be talking about intimate partner violence, right? And so, like, those rates dramatically increase when it involves Black women. Like Angela, right? And so, yeah, so like a partner, an ex, a husband, like whoever it is, that's what's happening. And when women try to leave, like that's when the danger actually gets so much worse, right? And so we talk about true crime all the time. That is what we do. And this pattern is not a mystery, right?
No.
It's an actual crisis. And Angela Allen, she deserved better from all of us.
Right. And I mean, I'm glad that we're going to be talking about her today because, like you said, it's totally a pattern. Whenever we talk about these cases, it's like, this is too familiar.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So, as a warning, before we really get into this episode, this is something that I actually try to avoid a lot. There is only one other episode that we've done that has involved a young child. This one does.
Okay.
It involves a murder of a 6-year-old boy. His name is James. I'm not going to be explicit in terms of what happened to him, but for anyone listening, like that is part of this episode. And we're going to like kind of rip the Band-Aid off really quickly for that.
Okay.
Okay. So my rant aside, my migraine still present. We're going to do this. Okay. On Tuesday, March 19th, 1985, Caroline Shipper, who is a kindergarten teacher at Bellevue Elementary in Syracuse, New York, greeted her students.
We're really close to home here, aren't we?
We are. So Syracuse is not far from where Vanessa and I live.
Right. Okay. Okay.
Continue.
Yeah.
All these places are going to seem very familiar to Vanessa as I go through this.
Okay.
So James, one of her young charges, he was eagerly showing off his new clothes, which was a new jacket and jeans that he'd gotten for his 6th birthday. To celebrate, his mom, Lorraine, was going to host a birthday party for him. It was likely all James could talk about, like all those kids, like when it's their birthday, right? So he's turning 6, he's having friends over for his birthday party, like he is one excited kid. Emma Bryant, a teacher's aide, likely also heard about all that's going on with the birthday party. The small boy with curly brown hair and big brown eyes was just like full of excitement. But when James didn't come to school on Thursday and again on Friday, his teachers grew concerned. James had only missed 4 days of school for the entire year, and his mom, Lorraine, who worked at least 1 or 2 days a week as an aide at the school, had also missed a meeting that Friday morning. Worried about the single mom and her son, school officials contacted the police to have them check on the two. And just after 10 a.m. that morning, police went into Lorraine's apartment, discovering a shockingly brutal scene. Making their way through Lorraine's cluttered West Coke Street apartment, police entered Lorraine's bedroom. There they found Lorraine on her waterbed in a pool of her own blood. Later, a medical examiner tasked with documenting her wounds would say that she was stabbed 23 times with an additional 9 puncture wounds, 10 cuts, and 10 or 11 abrasions. And her arms were raised over her head as though she'd been trying to defend herself in the attack. And the newly minted 6-year-old James, he was nowhere to be found. Within the hour, police were on a desperate search for the boy, and as news of his mother's murder and his disappearance spread, his neighborhood was basically holding their breath. Many hoped that he had escaped the apartment and had just run to hide somewhere. But as the days stretched on with no sign of him, everyone began to lose hope in this neighborhood. Everyone sort of started to know that it would be really hard for such a young boy to survive on his own. And with no sightings of him, no word of where he was, hope dimmed even more. Soon, James's tiny face peered out of milk cartons as local dairies placed his missing persons information on the backs of their cartons. And shortly after, his image was hung at local bus stops, hoping someone would come forward saying that they'd seen him. By March 29th, Deputy Police Chief Richard Howman announced that they were scaling back their search, stating, "Starting tomorrow, we're going to have to cut back. We've given it our full manpower at best, maximum effort for 8 days. But like someone else said, it's like looking for a needle in a haystack. Unless we come up with something solid, we just can't continue to devote full manpower to the search." But then on April 20th, exactly 1 month after James's last day of kindergarten, his body was found washed ashore on the eastern side of Onondaga Lake. He'd been strangled to death. When reporters tried to interview Lorraine and James's neighbors, asking how they felt about the boy's murder, the neighbors just turned them away and said, "How do you think we feel?" Soon, the neighborhood talk would turn to the arrest and trial of one man, James's father and Lorraine's on-again, off-again partner, a man who went by the name Mad Dog, which was a name he'd been given after a stint in Kasaki State Prison nearly 20 years before.
So are we just sticking to using Mad Dog?
We're going to keep calling him Mad Dog. Again, we tend not to use real names in this. This is his nickname.
Usually we'll do like an initial. So why are we doing Mad Dog today?
Because he doesn't actually like the name Mad Dog.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's even better than an initial.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So normally I would not, because usually
most
it's
of
like
those are chosen, right? And
Yeah.
then your cool guy name,
Mm-hmm.
but not for him.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's some sort of like for it, but he insisted that he wanted to be called by his actual name.
Okay.
And actually not his actual name, his middle name. And
So we won't do the initial thing.
no, so he gets to continued to be called Mad Dog.
Perfect.
Yeah. So with his arrest, though, there was another Syracuse family. They were holding their breath, hoping that they would finally have answers to the disappearance of their loved one, who was a woman named Angela Allen, who'd been missing for nearly 6 years.
Okay, so why would Angela's family, like, why would his arrest be, like, interesting to them?
Right. So, like, what's the connection?
What's the connection?
Right. Okay. So for this, we're going to have to get some backstory for Angela.
Okay.
So in 1971, Angela Allen was about 19 years old when she married a man 7 years her senior. Okay, so he's 26. By then, he'd already been given the name Mad Dog, and he had a criminal history. So
she's the first wife?
No.
Oh, geez. Okay.
Okay. No. So, okay.
But she was a wife before Lorraine.
Lorraine's not a wife.
Lorraine's not a wife, but he had a child with Lorraine.
Yes.
Previous relationship? What are we going to call?
This is going to get really complicated, so you're going to stick with me for this. So,
okay, but she was married to the same man that Lorraine had the child with.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so at the point she gets married to him, she's 19. He's 26. He already has the name Mad Dog, right? And he already also had a criminal history spanning 10 years, starting when he was 16 years old, when he stole a car. He hadn't served time for that crime, but 2 years later he did when he was caught with another stolen car. Now, there's not much information about why Angela was drawn to Mad Dog. She was already the mom of a daughter, and he was a 26-year-old with a record and a first failed marriage. So she's actually the second wife.
Okay.
His first wife, Dolores, was a quadriplegic, and rumors were circulating that Mad Dog was the cause of her paralysis.
I was about to ask, was she before they got married? Nope.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, and so I tried to find more information on this incident, like what happened with Dolores. Information unclear. So we just know that there's some rumors about it. Now, so maybe what it was for Angela, though, was like some sort of built-in sympathy for Mad Dog, right? So Mad Dog had spent his early years, like his childhood, on a farm. He was the oldest of 5 children, but by the time he was 6 or 7, the farm had been sold for back taxes, and the family moved to the south side of Syracuse. Now, to understand kind of the neighborhood that Angela is in and Mad Dog is in, redlining and discriminatory housing sales practices meant that the south side was a largely segregated Black neighborhood. So the area that the family would have moved into would have been a vibrant community with businesses and churches and schools, but that would actually soon be torn apart by the development of Interstate 81, which cut right through the area. It like literally destroyed like the economic and social districts of this area. So this is a fundamentally changed landscape. So as Mad Dog's younger brother would later say, Mad Dog is a guy who grew up in Syracuse the hard way. like a lot of kids, he learned his stuff on the streets.
Was that used as an excuse?
Yes.
Mm.
You're like, I've got some feelings.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, so whatever, though, it was that drew the two of them together, their relationship was further solidified 4 years into their marriage when the couple had their first and only child together, a daughter. So now they have...
So they spent at least 4 years together?
So we're up to 1975.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. So she has a daughter, and then the two of them have a daughter together.
Mm-hmm.
Now, several months after this daughter's birth, Mad Dog was arrested for car theft yet again.
Can't stay away from those cars.
No. Now, despite this, their relationship continues. Mad Dog went from job to job, mostly in industrial and manufacturing businesses in Syracuse. Angela, though, she got a job as a buyer for the J.C. Penney's that she worked for. So it had to be like an ideal job for Angela's creativity. On her own, she'd been like designing and sewing her own clothes, like giving her a very distinct style.
That's one of the things. So I want to point out here too, because I think a lot of the time when we talk about domestic violence, a lot of people think that these women aren't active or go-getters or don't have a mind of their own or, don't recognize the signs of like abuse or manipulation because they're not intelligent enough, thinking like, oh, well, that won't happen to me because I could see that. But these are intelligent women we're always talking about. These are not women who are just like having the wool pulled over their eyes.
Right.
They are smart women.
Yeah, so Angela is definitely the one of the two of them who has her stuff together. Right.
So I just want to like make that clear. Like these things can happen to anybody. If you're in a manipulative enough situation, it has no bearing on your intelligence.
Exactly. So Angela, she's like this intensely creative person. So like so many people were talking about her clothing designs. Yeah. Okay. Now, before though, even before the birth of their first child, there was another person in their marriage, Lorraine. Lorraine's the mom of James.
Okay. So Mad Dog had ties to Lorraine while he was still with Angela?
Now, their history is complicated. So again, he married Angela in 1971. They have their first child together in 1975. Now, Mad Dog had met Lorraine in 1973 through Lorraine's husband, Michael. And he was enamored with her. At one point, he had her portrait, like the portrait of her naked body, painted on his motorcycle.
What? What?
Yeah, so
he had somebody else's wife's naked body. This married man had a different guy's wife on his motorcycle.
Yeah.
Did everybody involved know this?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
It's a weird move.
This is a weird move. So like a quote from him about this time in his life, Mad Dog would say, "Things were good then." I know.
Okay, continue.
Yeah. "Things were good then. For 10 years, I worked hard and had a good job and paid my taxes just like everyone else. My credit was high. I had a good job. I had a van and I had a custom semi-chop bike with a $1,000 paint job with Lorraine's nude picture on it."
Okay, I'm having a bit of difficulty with that part.
Yeah. So,
no, we don't do that. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, I don't know how much Angela knew about his relationship with Lorraine, but Lorraine was well known amongst Mad Dog's friends as his girlfriend. People even nicknamed her Mad Woman to go along with his Mad Dog.
Okay. So, some weird stuff going on.
Okay, well, it's about to get even weirder.
Oh.
Okay. The relationship between the three grew more complicated in 1978. That's when Lorraine's house burned down, and Mad Dog moved him into the home he shared with Angela in the Brighton neighborhood of Syracuse.
So her house burned down. Is she still with her husband at this point?
So it does say that the house, plurally belonged to her and her husband, but like just Lorraine seems to move in.
Just Lorraine moves in with Mad Dog and Angela. Okay.
Now, this is when Lorraine gets pregnant.
I'm doing the math now because you
Mhm.
said that Angela disappeared 6 years prior to James's death and he was 6.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. No.
okay.
So, for his part, Mad Dog claims that after Lorraine gets pregnant, this is when his life starts to fall apart, which I'm going to pause here for dramatic effect because, like, please, sir. Because, of course, he blames all of this mostly on Lorraine and Angela.
Wait, his life starts to fall apart because of his wife and his girlfriend?
Yeah, so he would specifically say later, things got bad because when Lorraine got pregnant, she started blackmailing me for my time.
Okay. Is he aware of how people get pregnant?
Some
Because, like,
thoughts there, right?
yeah.
Okay. And my wife already warned me if I catch you with one of those white girls, I'm taking everything you've got and bankrupt you. It was a pressure I couldn't accept. And that's when I turned to escapism and started doing drugs.
Okay.
I was at my friend's one day and tried teas and bees, and it just made me forget my troubles.
Okay, so first off, I have questions here now. Or statements and questions. So timeline wise, so he moves his girlfriend in with him and his wife.
Yes.
He gets that girlfriend pregnant.
Yes.
He blames the women, also the pregnant one, for ruining his life enough that he needs to turn to drugs.
Right.
What the heck are T's and B's?
Yeah. Okay, so T's and B's, because I did not know this either. It's a mixture of Talwin, which is an opioid, triplenenamine, I hope I'm saying that right, which is an antihistamine, and water, which is then inserted under your skin. So the T is for the Talwin, and the B is for the blue color of the triplenamine.
Okay, so it's one drug. So T's and B's are not two separate things.
No, it's a
one
combo thing.
It's a mixture.
Yeah, these are his drugs of choice going forward, so you're going to hear me mention that.
Okay, so keep in mind what T's and B's are.
Yes.
We'll be back in a moment.
Now, Lorraine, she gives birth to James in March 1979, and things were officially on the rocks with Angela and Mad Dog at this point. Toward the end of that year, she decided that on January 5th, 1980, their 9th wedding anniversary, she would make a decision about the future of their marriage. So that was like it for her.
Okay.
On Christmas Day, with that deadline looming, Angela went to go see her mother, Bernice. As Angela headed out of her mother's house, Bernice called out, "I love you, I'll see you later." Later that night, Angela and Mad Dog went to a Christmas night showing of the film The Black Hole, which was a sci-fi film about a space crew that encounters, well, a black hole. But there, they find a spaceship of the main character's father who had mysteriously disappeared 20 years before, which is it's about a disappearance.
Yeah.
It's a mystery. But it was going to be the last movie that Angela would ever see. The next morning, Angela called her mother around 9:30 a.m. and they talked briefly, but Angela said that she was sleepy and she would call her mom later. Bernice never received that phone call. 2 days later, it would be Bernice who would report her daughter missing. When Mad Dog was asked why he didn't report his wife's disappearance, he claimed he didn't think she was missing. He said that she would often just kind of spend the night at her friends' houses, so he wasn't all that concerned when she wasn't home. He said the last time he saw her was when he left the apartment around mid-morning after she had talked to her mom on the phone, and he claimed she had told him she was going to go shopping with her friend Bonita. Later, police went and spoke to Bonita and questioned her. She had never gone shopping with Angela that day, nor did they have plans to. Bonita had been in Rochester, which is miles and miles away at the time.
Okay, so that's a really poor story he had there. I mean, it really fits into, it's so familiar to these stories we talk about, where like the husband should be the first one reporting the wife, no? Like,
right.
Seriously. Yeah. And it's like what we were talking about before, this pattern, or almost like a formula, really, where these guys are like, oh yeah, I didn't even know she was missing, or I thought she was at somebody's house overnight, or some other excuse, like she went on a trip, because we've had that before too. Right. So he's completely fitting into it to the point where I think, like, wouldn't the police be at all? Wouldn't he be on the radar? Was he?
I mean, in some regards, yes. I get the impression that not a lot of interest is paid to Angela's disappearance initially.
Because
she's a black
woman.
Yes.
Which are probably the least heard people in America.
Exactly. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's just like so he's got this formula going, but then she's also in that segment of the population that is not going to be as looked for.
Mm-hmm. Now, I'm not saying that the police weren't looking at her case, but just like this is completely under the radar. There are very few pieces of information about Angela specifically around the time of her disappearance. Like this is not publicly making waves at all, right?
Yeah.
And at this time, Mad Dog starts to construct a new story.
Okay. Which, as they often do.
Right, because the Bonita thing...
that didn't pan out.
That doesn't pan out, no. So in this story, he essentially says that Angela just picked up and left him taking $10,000 in cash that they'd had hidden in their home. It's a story...
How can you even prove that?
Yeah. Right. Now, this is a story that no one in her family believed, and Angela would never have left her girls like that. Bonita said if she wanted to leave her husband, she would have taken the children. No way would she go off and leave them. I have an awful feeling about the way she just disappeared.
Especially with that much cash. Why would you not take your kids?
Right. And speaking of cash, she also had a paycheck waiting for her at JCPenney's that she didn't pick up. So surely if she was going to take off, that she needed all this money, like she'd go and collect her last paycheck before doing so.
Right. Huh.
Now, there is, though, someone who does try to pick up Angela's last paycheck, and that's Mad Dog. Later reflecting on her friend's disappearance, Angela's coworker Linda spoke to reporters telling them the days after Angela disappeared, her husband showed up and tried to get her paycheck. I don't think he got it, she said. As a coworker, Linda knew things weren't right at home with Angela, but she didn't really know the specifics. She said, one day she just wasn't there. We never knew what happened. We still don't. She never spoke about the trouble at home, although there were times when she didn't seem to look forward to going home. Now, again, Angela's case is still open, but her story was not making headway in the media. In 1981, Angela's friend Bonita, she begged reporters to cover Angela's story, and that year an article about her disappearance ran in the Syracuse paper. So we're 2 years out, right?
Mm-hmm.
This did garner some reports of people who claimed to have seen her kind of down south, or one woman who thought she saw another woman wearing Angela's clothes. Remember, these would be distinct clothes because Angela handmade a lot of them, but it didn't get anyone closer to finding Angela. In fact, police would say it had a negative impact, which I take to mean that they spent a lot of time chasing those leads only to find nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, Mad Dog did continue his relationship with Lorraine, the two of them using T's and B's pretty regularly together. But by 1980, Mad Dog was serving a 1-year sentence at Jamesville for possession of a stolen credit card. In a jailhouse interview focused on what it was like for inmates to spend the holidays in jail, a reporter spoke to Mad Dog as part of this story.
Mm-hmm.
He told the reporter, "Last year around Christmas, my wife up and left me. I have 2 small girls, and I'm hoping she'll return to see them in the new year. I had an illegitimate child by a young lady, and I was depressed, and I thought this would end my marriage. I shot drugs for 3 years. I gave up my welding job. I shot T's and B's. I turned to burglary because I didn't have any other way to support my habit. I'm looking to get out and maintain family ties. I'm hoping to go back into welding. I want to spend time with the daughters I missed. I'd like to rehabilitate kids on drugs. I'd like to open up a youth center for kids, something like Brick House. It'll be different this time. I'm getting too old to be spending all my time in prison."
Mm-hmm. Gotta stop making people disappear then.
Right. Of course.
He's not even doing time for that. This is credit card stuff, right?
Credit card stuff, right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So not Angela related at all. And again, you can see the story is that she left him.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And this is, again...
And he just wants to be this good guy helping rehabilitate kids.
Yeah, he actually, in several interviews over the years, has had repeatedly said that he wanted to redeem himself by helping other kids who might be experiencing drugs or kind of like doing kind of scared straight programs, which were popular at the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, of course, he says he wants to do better.
Mm-hmm.
when he's released, but that's not the case. So he's released in January of 1981. By October of that year, he's given 3 years probation for possession of stolen property. And by June of 1982, both he and Lorraine are actually arrested when they're caught stealing plate glass windows from a property. Lorraine was given probation and Mad Dog was given 2 to 4 years in prison. He would later say that he was actually looking forward to this time because he was hoping to use his incarceration period as a time to get sober. On the outside, Lorraine was actually trying to do the same. So she enrolled in a 1-year degree program in accounting at the Bryan Stratton Business School, and she also started working at their son's school. But through all of this, all of their history together, like, she is not able to shake Mad Dog. She was both afraid of him and also reluctant to move on fully. She said one side of him loved her and the other side hated her. A friend would later say that she'd never known Lorraine to be with anyone else but Mad Dog. So, besides the husband, yes. Now, Lorraine had also said that she knew her involvement with him was a problem, but that she kept following her heart, and the fear of him wore her down mentally and physically.
Yeah, that's not love.
No. So, their relationship is complicated. But this also doesn't mean that Lorraine always supported Mad Dog. Like, there were at times during this period that she, particularly when they were off in their relationship, she would actually go and speak to police about the abuse that she was suffering in their relationship. So that this did include an incident where he had whipped her with a belt, though she didn't end up filing charges for that incident. And during one of their breaks, Lorraine actually spoke to an officer about something she'd been keeping quiet about for years, what she knew about the disappearance of Angela Allen.
I was wondering that.
Yeah. Now, in the years after Angela had disappeared, police had interviewed Lorraine, but she'd kind of kept quiet about Angela. She essentially would say often that she didn't know anything. But by 1980, she started talking. So this is around the time that he's in jail for the credit cards.
Okay.
Okay. But before the time of stealing the plate glass windows.
What?
Yeah. So,
okay.
Because again, they're like together, not together, together, not together, right? So throughout the early 1980s, kind of Lorraine is giving like little bits of information, it seems. In a 1981 interview, she told police that on December 26, 1979, Mad Dog had borrowed her car, asking her for the key to the trunk. He said he'd misplaced his. Early the next morning, around 3 or 4 a.m., Mad Dog had come back to like her apartment, and his boots, she said, were muddy. In other talks with police, Lorraine said that Mad Dog had told her that he needed help to get rid of Angela's body. And later, it seems he told her, oh, I was just kidding.
It's kind of a weird joke.
Yeah, like, why would you? Why? Now, Lorraine was also able to relate there was an incident where he'd had her drive him to an area north of Syracuse, kind of between Cicero and Brewerton. And when they got there, he told her to turn around and go back to Syracuse. So he had her drop him off out there. Now, with Lorraine's help, investigators were actually able to pinpoint some areas of concern where they could look for Angela. So some of what they pinpointed were sections of the Onondaga Indian Reservation and also the Allied chemical salt pits. These were places, bizarrely, that he used to take Angela on dates. Now, after Lorraine was murdered, because we know what happens to Lorraine, these were some of the same places investigators went looking for the body of young James.
Okay.
Now, Stimson, one of the investigators on the case, believed that Mad Dog had found out that Lorraine had given them information about Angela's disappearance and that this served as his motivation to kill Lorraine. James, they believe, just happened to be there kind of at the wrong time and was a witness to this crime. By the time investigators were knocking on doors looking for James after James disappeared, Mad Dog was already in prison. So this is like a weird timeline. So he goes to prison on condition of a parole violation, and he's in there by the time they find Lorraine's body.
So he did that, and then he went to prison.
Yes, because what happened was a condition of his original release for the plate glass window theft, right, had been that he couldn't visit Lorraine since she'd been a part of the original conviction, right?
Okay.
So still, he was one of the guests at James's 6th birthday party, and he readily admitted that he was there.
So he should not have been there.
No. So he gets picked up on a parole violation. And so by the time they discover that Lorraine's been murdered, which is several days after her murder, he's already in prison.
Okay.
Now, he said he last saw Lorraine on March 20th around 11 a.m. when she offered to drive him to work in East Syracuse. And it was an offer he said he actually had turned down. Now, Mad Dog, he never tried to hide his relationship with Lorraine. During his early interviews, Mad Dog claimed that despite the court orders, the two were connected even while he was incarcerated. He said, I started seeing her and giving her money, like for the babysitter and food. A 10-year relationship. You don't expect something to die just like that. At first, I didn't see her for a couple weeks, but she came asking after me and she brought James over to see me. Now, Mad Dog would go on to say that he loved Lorraine. Now, when Lorraine was murdered, it catapulted Angela's story into the spotlight for really the first time. Suddenly, there's like this intense interest in exactly what happened to her. This really did frustrate her family members, particularly Bernice, who had been searching for answers at this point for years. Angela's story, again, like so many others involving missing Black women, received little media attention until a white woman was murdered, and only then did the press and police begin to revisit her disappearance. Bernice told the press, come and see me when you can tell me what happened to Angela. But if you have nothing to say about my little girl, don't bother me. When she disappeared, there wasn't all the fuss there is now. Well, the fuss is because it's a white girl is dead. Now before, it was a missing Black girl. Did anyone care then? Now, it didn't take all that long for Mad Dog to be named a suspect in Lorraine's murder, and then when he was found, James's murder. There were witnesses who were able to place him at her apartment, and this is around the time they were last seen alive, and it didn't take long for a case to be built against him. But while the lawyers were preparing the case to go to trial, Angela's family was kept waiting for answers to their questions about where Angela was. But answers, again, are only going to be partial in Angela's case. When the murder went to the grand jury, the public learned that Mad Dog had, in the past, threatened Lorraine. He said, I have threatened to kill her, as people use ideal words to threaten people.
What does that mean?
I don't know.
Huh. Okay.
And he also said, he had told her, you know, I have thought many times about killing you, hurting you. He then said, though, that March, he had had no reason to want to kill Lorraine. Just apparently other times.
I don't know. A lot of these, like, I don't know. There's so many times when we talk about it, and these guys have said previously that they wanted to, you know?
Yeah.
And then when it happens, everyone's still surprised.
Right. Like, oh, wait, what?
Yeah.
Now, for more details to arise for Angela's family, they actually have to wait for the trial to officially begin. And even though investigators believe that Mad Dog may have been motivated to kill Lorraine because of the information she provided about Angela, like, they're very hesitant about actually using this fully in the trial. Because to do so, they'd likely need to provide proof that Angela had been murdered as well, and that's proof that investigators had yet to find, right? Now, the prosecution's tactic was to prove, in their words, that Lorraine's murder had been inevitable based on Mad Dog's prior history with her. The defense took a different tact. They argued that police just went after someone they saw as an easy target without investigating other angles. After all, within the first hour of police discovering Lorraine's body, police were going door to door with a photo of Mad Dog, asking if anyone recognized him. But the prosecution was able to call witnesses and pull evidence, some of which spoke to what might have happened to Angela. One of those witnesses was Donna Singleton. On New Year's Eve, 3 months before Lorraine was murdered, Lorraine and Mad Dog had attended a gathering at Donna's boyfriend's house. So that's where they're spending New Year's Eve. And Lorraine and Donna's boyfriend were on a team and were winning against Donna and Mad Dog, which sent him into a tailspin, winning at a card game, or actually losing at a card game. And he said, You may win at cards, Lorraine, but you won't win in life.
He was that easily just like set off by this win.
Yep. So the temper is just like there.
Yeah. So I'm a little bit confused on why the police were going door to door with a picture of him.
I think because they knew of Lorraine's connection to him. And so they were going around being like, was this man in this area?
Okay. Well, did we not know he was? Or
So, they knew he was there at the birthday party.
Okay.
Right. But then they're trying to piece together like what happens between the birthday party and the time of his arrest for the parole violation, essentially.
Okay.
Yeah. So they're trying to just gather details because, like, it's not a mystery to them that he was there. They know he was there in that neighborhood.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess it's good because then they found Donna, who could talk about this.
Yeah. So part of
card game.
Part of this is like, talking to everyone in their circle. So Donna was brought up, right? Now, at this card game that happened on New Year's Eve, so again, 3 months before Lorraine is murdered, Donna's watching this all play out, and she said, like, the tension is kind of mounting between the couple. And at one point, Mad Dog says, if I go to jail for Angela's murder, there will be 4 more bodies behind me.
What? What does that even mean?
Yeah, that basically if he ends up in jail, he's going to like lay waste to some people for that, I think.
Right, but who are these 4?
I'm guessing maybe the people at the card game.
Okay.
Or something along those lines, right?
Huh.
Yeah. But like the clear threat is there. And also at this point, wouldn't you be like Angela's disappearance? Like.
Right.
But he very much said Angela's murder.
Yeah. So much in that one sentence, right? For Angela's murder.
Yeah.
She's not missing. She's murdered. And 4 more bodies.
So there's like this threat, right?
So much.
And then Lorraine, at some point during this evening, tells a story about this time that Mad Dog had hidden behind some bushes one night near her home and then like jumped out and scared her. Right. And his response to that is he said, you better watch out for my 9mm in the bushes.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like there's lots of threats happening.
There's so many threats happening. This is not a fun card game.
No. Like the least fun gathering. Now, before they leave.
In hindsight, Donna and her husband must have been just like completely, I don't even know how would you handle that after having this weird interaction with somebody over cards and then finding out that that same guy kills his girlfriend and child. Like, yeah, I mean, and that Angela was actually dead because of him.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't even know how Donna would have felt after that.
Yeah. I mean, I've been at some like weird situations sometimes where it's like a chill social gathering and then like someone loses their temper like out of nowhere and you're like, what is happening? Right.
Right.
Yeah. So I can't imagine. It's just like.
But then imagine something like a really big event taking place and then having that as hindsight. Like,
right. That you're like, wait a minute. And things at this party get even worse.
So, worse than at the party?
Yeah. So like before they leave, Donna says that like Mad Dog started to choke Lorraine.
What?
Yeah. And then Lorraine, in defense, hits him in the head with a bottle. And then he like literally picks up Lorraine and holds her upside down and like hits her head off the floor.
All at Donna's house?
Well, Donna's boyfriend's house.
Wow. Wow. Okay, so that escalated way more. I was just thinking it was going to end with the threats.
No. So like this is like kind of, the prosecution is building up like this pattern of behavior with him, right?
Yeah.
And statements. Now, once they actually start to get into physical evidence, there are some physical pieces of evidence that tie him to Lorraine's apartment at the time of her murder. But the prosecution is able to also use Mad Dog's own words against him. He'd written a series of letters to Lorraine while he was in prison, letters that were presented as evidence of kind of his mindset. In it, he was clear how he viewed women, writing in one instance that a woman's prized qualities were, in his words, total obedience and honesty.
Okay.
Yeah. And then this is the quote that I put up on my Facebook.
That started the whole mess.
Which is, it's an excerpt from a letter in which he writes, oh, God. Okay. If I tell you to bed down in poison ivy, telling you you won't be infected. All you have to do is select a negligee.
So that's the total, like, we're not talking total obedience and honesty. We're talking total blind obedience. Like,
Yes.
you will listen to him even if he's lying.
Right. Now, it's clear that he knew, based on these letters, that Lorraine had actually spoken to police about Angela. In one of the letters he wrote in 1982, he said, "Was you pressured that much that you signed my life away in a lie? For God's sake, please don't let anyone talk you into signing anything more. We've both suffered enough at each other's hands." So in this, he's maintaining that he had nothing to do with Angela, right? Now, the prosecution then presents a partial conversation Lorraine had taped while Mad Dog was in prison. Part of this is cut off because you can tell she got scared and started taping partway through.
Okay.
But in this section, she says, "I remember when you choked me till I passed out. I think you thought I was dead." To which Mad Dog replied, "If I wanted you that way, Lorraine, I'd make you that way. You remember that. Okay? You know. But that's something you will never understand. You might think the very, very worst about me." Now, this trial, it lasts for weeks with the jury at times really kind of growing weary with the minutiae of the case. Like, they're going really in depth. But during closing arguments, the prosecution, which was headed by Chief Assistant District Attorney William Fitzpatrick, they roll out a VCR and TV, kind of like when we had to watch shows. Now, Fitzpatrick would later recall watching the jury kind of wilt at the idea of seeing more coverage during closing arguments. Like, they were so tired and done. But what they didn't know was that Fitzpatrick would play just about a minute of tape. Before he started the recording, he asked the jury, "What would it take to refer to your child in the past tense if there was hope he was still alive?" Now, when he presses play, the jury watches part of the initial interrogation conducted when James was still missing. Mad Dog was asked what he thought of his son, and he said, "He was a very important part of my life."
Okay. So he was already past tensing him.
Yeah.
When nobody knew where he was.
And this is from within hours of James being missing.
Did it work?
Yeah. So the jury, they just deliberate just 5 hours before returning a guilty verdict. And he received 2 25 years to life sentences. So today, because I was curious, Mad Dog is still in prison. He's housed at Auburn in New York. He is 79 years old, and he won't be eligible for parole for another 8 years. So it's likely that, in fact, he will die in prison. Now, to this day, Mad Dog maintains that he was not involved in Angela's disappearance. Police and Angela's family, they don't believe that claim. In a 1990 interview, Bernice said, "I hope she's alive, but I know she's dead." Which is really, this echoes a lot of what we hear from parents when their child is missing, no matter what age their child is when they go missing, right? Now, that year, 1990, Angela's family moved to have Angela declared legally dead through the court system. Angela had very few assets, but some included a profit-sharing agreement with JCPenney's that they had offered to employees. Bernice believed that Angela's 2 daughters should be able to obtain them. In an affidavit, Bernice wrote, "Approximately December 26, 1979, my daughter, Angela Elaine Allen, disappeared under suspicious circumstances, and her remains have not been found. We believe that she was murdered by her husband and that her remains have been buried somewhere south of the city in the town of Onondaga. The source for my belief is the number of statements made by Mad Dog Allen to Syracuse police investigators, some of which were inserted into the record in the trial of Mad Dog Allen for the murder of Lorraine Marshall and her 6-year-old son." Despite this, and despite the 10 years that had passed since Angela was last heard from, the courts chose not to declare Angela dead. They simply moved her to officially recognized as missing. For her mom, this was devastating. This wasn't just a move to secure assets for Angela's girls, but it was also a way to have Angela's death as officially marked. She said, "I don't have a grave to go to, so I'd like to have a memorial service for her to prove that she once lived. That might take away some of the pain." 3 years later, in 1993, investigator Tony Stimson sat with reporters as he once again took out Angela's file.
At that point, it was over an inch thick, and he said he treated her case as an unsolved homicide. Stimson had, at that point, been all over the area looking for Angela's body. He said, "By the time my career is done, I'd like to have this case behind me. But the only way that's going to happen is for him to talk." Despite what is essentially a life sentence for Mad Dog, it still doesn't appear he's interested in talking. Bernice said that she wanted her daughter's body so they could have her cremated, but knew this was unlikely, stating, "She'll never be found. We'll never get her bones." Angela Allen was 28 years old when she disappeared. She was a mother, a daughter, a designer, and a woman who deserved more attention, more protection, and more justice than she received.
We are now going to listen to Amy's poem, Event Horizon, about Angela Allen, 28, missing since December 26, 1979, from Syracuse, New York, read by Chioma Umeala. Born and raised in Johannesburg, South Africa, Chioma is a South African-Nigerian actor, which has allowed her to bring a unique look and a fresh intercontinental perspective to the industry. She is most notably known as Nojiko in Netflix's live-action adaptation of One Piece. Her other works include her role in The Woman King, in Isono as Ayo. Additional credits include Shaka, King of the Zulu Nation, and the new comedic film Novocaine. Due to her work, Chioma has built many relationships in the film industry, including with her now mentors Julius Tenen and Viola Davis. She is also known as championing varied stories and characters due to her casting on One Piece. Nojiko's race was initially nondescript, and so being the only Black woman in Season 1, that opened the stage for conversation and integration in the niche anime community. Chioma has been recognized and invited by many global events, such as Comic-Con, to speak on her experiences. Chioma is a steadily rising global talent.
Down here on Earth, you can feel the pull of dark matter, binding galaxies together. But instead, you remark on the stars, trace a constellation with your finger. Out there, time moves differently. The universe stretches past our knowing, every cluster stitched together into dark fabric as you watch a film about a black hole, the projector flickering across your face. This is how we construct our stories, threading them together, pins and needles punching holes through the dark, while in the depths of space, stars slip past the event horizon. What can we know about disappearing into that dense void that couldn't be told by a woman who knew the darkness at the center of a man's soul?
For more information about our show or to check out other shows on the network, please visit evergreenpodcast.com. Bye, Vanessa.
Bye, Amy.